My name is Aldrin, and today we'll be talking about ideas. Ideas and how to build them, ideas and how to build them with generative AI. So, the motivation for this talk comes from my realization that while we talk about ChatGPT and different AI tools, I believe that most of us have not been using it to its full potential. I believe that ChatGPT can do so much more than just writing jokes, writing poems, rewriting questions, using for research. There is so much more potential out there that some of us might not be realizing it yet. So I want to start this talk by talking about three different individuals from very different backgrounds, very different age groups, very different countries, and we'll look at how they've used generative AI to build their ideas into fruition. So we're going to start off with a student from Mangalam College of Engineering. His name is Amit, and he was one day faced with a particular problem. The problem is, when you get into a private or a transport bus, how do you decide on which side of the seat to sit? So this might be like a common problem that all of us would have faced at least once in our lives. I'll explain in a bit more detail. So imagine you are at a bus stop and a bus came in. You climbed aboard the bus, and there are a couple of seats available on the left extreme, and then there are a couple of seats available on the right extreme. How do you decide which side of the bus you should sit? So if you're like most people, and if it's daytime, you would want to sit in a seat which avoids the maximum amount of sunlight. Essentially, you want to sit in shade during the journey. So this is a very common, interesting problem. Let's think about how we would try to solve this, and if generative AI can help in any way at all. So this is actually the map from Kalamassery to Edappalli Lulu Mall. And let's say I want to travel this via a bus. So if you think about it, if I'm going from Kalamassery to Edappalli, I'm essentially going from north to south. If I'm going from top to bottom, and if it's daytime, if I want to know which side of the bus will have the least amount of sunlight, it's actually kind of pretty simple, right? Just think, if it's morning, then the sun will be in the east. If it's in the evening, the sun would be in the west. And depending on that, you can just visualize in your mind which side of the bus would have the least number of minutes where you have sunlight. And so this guy, from Amit, from Mangalam College of Engineering, he built this very simple application called sitinshade.com. The idea is like pretty straightforward. You enter your starting destination, you enter where you want to go, and it chooses the time, the default time, current time it is. And then it just simply plots the graph, it plots a map, and then based on that, it will tell you how much probability you have of getting sunlight on one side of the bus. And so it will give you a recommendation on where you should sit. So it's saying if you're going from Kalamassery to Edappalli, you should probably sit on the right side during daytime. Now, why am I telling you this? This is a very simple application. And this guy, Amit, was able to build it in a couple of days using several generative AI tools. I'll come to this later. Now, let's talk about another totally different person. So this is a 17-year-old student from Hong Kong. He built a slideshow application, and he's saying he was able to build this within a single hour. And he's mentioning a couple of AI tools like Claude, Cursor, vMotion. You don't really need to know what those tools are. All you need to know is that a 17-year-old without an engineering degree was able to make tools like this within an hour or so. And at the bottom, he's referencing and he's saying 99% of this code was written by Claude, Cursor. He's mentioning a couple of tools. And he's saying it would have taken 12 times longer if AI tools did not exist. Let's look at one more person. So this is a guy called Louis Pereira. He became viral last year after building a tool called Audio Pen. This is a very simple application. It has a microphone where you can just speak out your thoughts. It will create notes, blog posts, etc., that people can use it for or share it with people, etc. And in an interview, he said, "I'm not a designer." Like, he's not a designer. He's not a developer. He does not really have a programming background. And what he's saying is he's making together MVPs using no-code tools, and he mentions a tool called Bubble.io. And this is actually an AI-based editor which can help you make applications, even though you might not be knowing any programming knowledge at all. So now we looked at three different individuals, very different backgrounds. One is an engineering graduate, one is a 17-year-old without a degree, another is a man in his 30s. Each of them had an idea, and each of them used generative AI-based tools to bring their idea into fruition. And so this is not an isolated phenomenon. In fact, I have seen so many instances similar to this across the past 1.5 years. In Twitter, Reddit, Hacker News, a lot of people, irrespective of their background, are building really cool ideas. And the motivation for my talk that I want to talk today is to tell you all that this is not a super difficult thing to do. It doesn't matter what background you're from, it doesn't matter your age group. It is not difficult to do at all. If you have an idea, it's easier than ever before to actually build that into a proper product or an actual app that you can use, that you can share with your friends, and overall gain a lot of value. This is the quote said by Gary Tan. He's the CEO of Y Combinator, one of the best startup incubators in the world. And he said, "This is the best time ever to build your ideas." This is one such very simple example. There's a website called kscbwaterlevels.com. And what it does is it's just showing you the amount of water levels in each dam in Kerala, and if they are crossing a particular threshold, are they in red alert or whatever. And this is all built by a single person in a couple of hours using AI tools. The actual data of this is given from KSCB's official website, where you have a tabular format like this. So this guy, he made it into a nice UI with some cool visualizations. And these are all not difficult problems. These are all not problems which require extreme research or algorithmic knowledge. It's all about one person having an idea and trying to see what you can do with the AI tools that are available. So that is what this talk is going to be all about. How you can take ideas and use generative AI tools to actually build them into a proper working product that you can use. And this is not going to be a deeply technical topic, neither is it going to be a deeply theoretical topic. This is more about some lessons that I want to share about my own personal experience of building projects and what I've seen a couple of my friends and others in the industry actually do by building tools using AI-based technology available right now. So that's what we're going to do today is we're going to look at some real-life problem statements. We're going to break that down and see how we, or you as an individual, will be able to solve them. And in doing so, we'll learn a little bit about some concepts, some tools, and some techniques which will help you to do this for your own ideas. Now, why should you really care? At the end of this talk, you should hopefully be thinking about problems in a slightly different way. And you'll be so much more equipped with Gen AI than before. And this is actually some things where you're going to start to use generative AI tools in a way to apply to real-life problems rather than any niche or any specific scientific task versus any real-life problem that you could face in your career. So a little bit about me. My name is Aldrin. I am a product engineer at a company called Athena Intelligence. We're based out of New York. So we're building an AI agent for data analysis. So anything that a human data analyst can do, like scraping data, going over websites, cleaning data, writing code to improve them, joining Zoom meetings, talking to the agent and it's responding back, emailing to agent, all of that we are currently doing right now in a fully autonomous system. That's what we're building. Before that, I was in the research and development at ThoughtWorks, which is a MNC based out of Chicago. And so what I used to do was, whenever a new research paper comes up, we used to scan them and see, can we build something valuable out of it for businesses or for people to find value out of them. So my background is mostly about building things. So not going to cutting edge research, but more about taking the research that's out there and then see if you can find products that provide value based on the research. Finally, I am an alumni from Government Model Engineering College, part of IHRD, part of KTU. Really proud to be from the college. It played a huge role in where I am right now. So now we're going to officially begin. Let's talk about a specific problem statement. How do you make slides using generative AI? Making slides is actually not a fun job if you think about it. Let's look at what is the actual process of how we would make slides. So the idea would be you might be having some notes. So let's narrow this down. Let's say you are an academician and you want to make teaching notes to help your students learn. Usually students would prefer to have PDF notes that they can like skim through maybe a couple of days before the exam, or even when teaching, it would be great if you can have some slides that you can show, and then students can learn value from it. So this is a usual process. You have some notes, you extract the key points from it, you sort all of them in a specific order, and you should have a hierarchy. Like this could be a topic, it could have subtopics, and then underneath there could be bullet points, more paragraphs, images, etc. And then once you have the structure, you open up PowerPoint or Google Slides, and then you try to like drag and drop these points from one place to another, throw some nice animation, styles, theming. Finally, you export as a PDF or a PPTX file, and then you share. This is the typical format for the process. And how would you actually solve this? Like, most of us would be so used to this flow that we won't feel this is a pain point at all. But if you think about it, for a teacher who has to do this multiple times, this could be like a chore, like an extra point, like actually dragging and dropping the PowerPoint. Is there a way we can like improve this? So let's look at how we can solve this. So the obvious or the easiest approach would be to just directly ask ChatGPT to see what it can do. So this is, I hope you all can read this. So I asked ChatGPT to say, can you make this into bullet points? So I gave a particular paragraph. This can be the particular notes that you want to make slides into. And I said, can you make this into bullet points? And so ChatGPT just put in some bullet points. OK, we got the bullet points. But can this really help us? Is it useful for us to make slides out of these? Let's see. So we have bullet points, but there is no styling involved. Right? It's just bullet point. That's not going to be enough for making slides. So then what do we do? So at this point, let's ask ourselves, what exactly is ChatGPT? Like, we've been hearing about it for the last 2 years. But what actually is it? Is it AI? Is ChatGPT an AI? Is it a large language model / LLM? Or is it some fancy framework that is used for making AI? So it's actually an interesting question, isn't it? We've been hearing about it for so long. It's actually not a super straightforward question to answer. The answer depends on the context in which we use it. Usually, if you think about it, chatgpt.com or chat.openai.com, that is just a website. But in that website, when you type in a query and when you hit enter, that particular question, your query, is sent to a model. So now the question is, what is a model, right? So I like to think of a model as a function. Like, it's a very simple analogy. I'm simplifying it extremely. Consider a model as a function. What is a function? Imagine this to be a function where the idea is you have a given set of inputs that you're given, and then you get a specific set of outputs. You can have multiple number of inputs, multiple number of outputs. You can have different types of inputs, different types of output. It doesn't matter. A function takes in a couple of inputs, it gives out a couple of outputs. Now, in the case of ChatGPT, imagine this. We are inputting text. The query that we type in, that is the input that we're given. And what do we get as output? We get text as output, right? So ChatGPT can be considered like a text-based model or language model. The idea is, once you have different types of models, you need a way to categorize them. And so machine learning engineers, what they do is they categorize these models based on the output that they generate. So in the case of ChatGPT, you get text as output, so you call it text-based model or a language model. There are other types of models too. There are tools like DALL-E and Midjourney. They are called as image generation models. So there the idea is you get image as a final output. So imagine you have a video as input, and then you have a face as another input, and then if you get a deep fake video, that's a video generation model at play. So that's the simplest classification. Depending on the output, you categorize models into text-based models, audio generation models, video-based models, diffusion models for images, etc., etc. And if you look closely at ChatGPT, for every answer that it generates, there's this scroll wheel here. You must have seen that. And when you click on that drop down, suddenly it will ask you which model do you want to use. These are the two popular models available in chatgpt.com. So it's basically saying, I have a function like this. Do you want to use GPT-4o, which is a bigger model, or a GPT-4o mini, which is a slightly smaller model? So depending on the model, the performance will also vary, the cost will vary, and the output that you get will also vary. So that's like some brief background about ChatGPT and what a language model is. So now let's come back to the problem that we had. We need to extract key points, which we were able to do so. ChatGPT gave us bullet points. But now, how do we maintain hierarchy and how do we apply styling, right? So now, imagine this question that I'm asking. I'm asking, prepare a travel plan for visiting Trivandrum. And if you look at, all of you must have seen this, I believe. Like you have ChatGPT, it gives you a very nice article or like a very good answer, usually for plans or speeches or any question answer. It gives a very good answer. And the one thing to notice is, see how this one is a bit bold? See how this is like a title format? This is how the font is higher. There's more bolding. And see how the section below is a little bit less bold, like a subtopic of sorts. And then you go again, bullet points, which has nested children. So if you think about it, ChatGPT does understand structure. It is able to identify hierarchy, and it is actually applying styles here, right? That's one observation. So now you think about it and see how you can use this to actually create slides. So now here's the paragraph that I gave, and then I actually asked ChatGPT, how can I generate slides for this? So now we come to a particular topic called Markdown. So Markdown is basically a meta language, which is so common. In fact, it's used inside of WhatsApp. So this is the chat input box that you get for WhatsApp. And in WhatsApp, I don't know how many of you have noticed, if you put star, the asterisk, and then you add a word, and then you add asterisk again, the word becomes bolder. Similarly, if you do underscore, you add a word, you put underscore again, that becomes italicized. This is all done using a specific language called Markdown. And it's used in programmers for GitHub. It is used in WhatsApp. It's used in a lot of the text editors. And it's also used by ChatGPT. So now you ask ChatGPT, what is Markdown? Explain like I'm a 5-year-old, so explain in very simple terms. And so saying it's a specific language where depending on small asterisks or italics, you can convey the idea of style. And since ChatGPT can understand text, it's able to understand Markdown. So now we are getting somewhere. So we are trying to solve the problem of creating styles for slides, and we are getting somewhere. And so now, this is the bullet points that we got all from earlier. And then at the end, I asked, can you make this in structured Markdown format? So now, we get the styling. Suddenly we get styling, we get hierarchy. This is still nowhere close to making slides, but we are getting somewhere. So I'm trying to show you how ChatGPT can do so much more than just make jokes or write poems. But still, this is still not slides. So how do we go forward? So now I asked ChatGPT, how can I create slides from Markdown? And ChatGPT is replying by saying there are several tools that you can use. And ChatGPT itself is suggesting this tool called MARP. And the idea behind MARP, this is something which has existed way, way before ChatGPT ever came out. The idea is you use Markdown, and then you apply a theme by default. Suddenly you get colorful presentations. Now, just one thing to note, I never had to Google how to do this outside of ChatGPT. All of this is happening within ChatGPT itself. And so now, once you do till here, then the next step is, great, print the points for AI slides, maximum 4 points per slide. Because usually you wouldn't want too much content on a slide, so I'm saying, great, now can you print it in a slide format, which is understood by those tools. And so now it's giving a slide topic, couple of bullet points, topic, bullet points, just like how I instructed. So now, if you go till here, you notice here it's saying online editor, MARP web editor, and now we got the actual Markdown. So now the next step is literally just copying whatever ChatGPT gave in, pasting it into the editor that it suggested. And suddenly, this is an example of one such editor called QuickTech. This is made by a friend of mine. So whatever you see on the left side, this is directly copied from ChatGPT. Whatever you see on the right side is actually a valid presentation that you can export as PDF, PowerPoint, whatever. Now, I kind of like took this one step forward, and I made like a very simple application. The code for this was written by ChatGPT itself. So the idea is you paste in the notes that you have for any given topic. You hit the generate button. It will do all the steps that we just talked so far, all in one go. It will generate the markdown for it, and then on the right side you can see the preview. You can change theme, adjust it whatever you want, and suddenly you get presentations from your notes. The point that I want to talk about here is that ChatGPT can do so much more. I do not think that every one of us realize the potential that it is offering us. There's so much things that we can do, but think about it. How many of us would actually push forward beyond the stage of, okay, I got some points in Markdown, I got some styling over there, but how do I make it into an actual presentation, right? So a lot of people are realizing this across the world. A lot of people are trying to explore the idea that using generative AI tools, what was once impossible before is now possible. Let's pause for a moment, just take that in. So far, what we've done is break down a process of building a tool. So this is the final end tool that I made. And all of this was made in one weekend, on one Saturday evening. How? Using AI tools. AI gave me the steps on how to do it. AI gave the code on how you can actually run this. These are some references that I just quickly used. ChatGPT, MARP is the one which ChatGPT suggested to use. This is the tool that is used for the UI. It involves some Python coding, and then you were able to do it. And what it made me realize is that tools like ChatGPT, it can quickly enhance and complement your skills a lot. So if you're a teacher, and if you're able to have a pretty good notes of your own, then you can use these AI tools to just quickly make slides out of it. So it will still be your notes, but then you won't have to spend extra effort and time to add the theming, add the styling, all the drag and drop mechanism necessary. So let's look at one more problem statement. All of these problems that I'm talking, these are all not cherry-picked ones, but some general problems that I've been facing in my problem and how I've been able to solve them using these tools. So this one is about flashcards and spaced repetition. So the idea is a certain way you can use AI to make flashcards. What are flashcards? So flashcards are basically a tool that students can use to enhance their recall and a way to ensure that you remember things so much more than usual. So the problem statement is how do you make flashcards easily? Usually the process is you have a bunch of notes on your own, and then let's say you want to review it tomorrow. Rather than going over and reading over your notes, you create some question-answer pairs, and then you quiz yourself. Let's say I learned something today. Tomorrow I go and I ask myself, what is the answer of XYZ question? And if I'm able to answer it correctly, then I probably don't need to review it for the next 2 days. But if let's say I can't recollect it, then I review it the very next day. This is the logic behind flashcards and the algorithm of spaced repetition. Is there a way we can use AI to make the process faster? Sure. So I asked ChatGPT, what is spaced repetition? And so it just says, this is a way for you to whatever I just said right now, you can remember things more quickly. And it said in the bottom, there's tools like Anki, which use this method to help you do this quickly. Okay, so if I did not know what Anki was, it's now telling me this is a popular tool to use. Okay, cool. Next, so this is the actual tool called Anki. And so the idea is you go to Anki, and then you type in a question. So I had to manually type what is the answer of XYZ, and then I also type the answer is whatever. And then every day I can go and review these questions. So how do you make it faster? I'll show you 2 methods. The most straightforward or the obvious answer which you would think of would be to ask ChatGPT to say, can you convert this to this Anki supported format? So suddenly, if you notice, ChatGPT is outputting question and answers from a given paragraph that I just gave in a specific tab separated format. So it gave the question on one side, put a tab, gave the answer on the other side. And once I do that, I could just directly search for is there an import option, and then just directly copy whatever ChatGPT gave, paste it into one key, suddenly you have the problem solved. This is a very simple example. What I want to highlight on is a different method, which is going to be, I think, super useful for teachers or researchers. And that is by introducing a company called Anthropic. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with this company. So this is basically a competitor to OpenAI. OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, and this is a competitor. And Anthropic has a model called Sonnet, Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So similar to how ChatGPT has models called GPT-4o and 4o Mini, they have their own models called Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And so the reason I'm mentioning is their model has a specific feature called artifacts. The idea is like pretty simple. Just like you ask ChatGPT to write code, you can ask this model to write code and actually execute it without you having to know any background knowledge in programming, without you having to know any computer setup to run code. All of it happens within that particular model's environment. So the idea is, this is Claude's chat interface, similar to ChatGPT. So I'm going to give a prompt. This is my query. I'm saying, create a flashcard generator. I will insert a paragraph of text from which you need to first extract key points, and then you need to have a generator with the questions on one side and answers on the other side. And I'm also saying, can you keep track of scores as well? And then I gave in my paragraph text about generative AI. And so now what happens is kind of interesting. Let me show you it in action. Once I hit enter for that prompt, it will start generating code, and on the right side of the chat, it will actually execute it. So what you see here is based on my prompt, it generated an actual working program within the browser that I can interact with. So this is the actual question and answers. Based on the paragraph, it's giving me questions, and then I'm actually like flipping it and say, okay, did I get it right? If so, remind me tomorrow. If I messed it up, then remind me again today evening or whatever. And so just realize this, like, how quickly was I able to iterate on this? I gave it one query, the model wrote the code for it, on the right side it actually executed it for me to directly use it then and there. Just think about it, how crazy that is. You give a prompt, you get a working program, that's it. What would be the next step to it? You can go on iterating more and more. I'll show you with one more example, which is more related to teachers. So this is actual Claude chat, and this is a prompt I wrote earlier. The prompt is generate a graph for gradient descent. The topic doesn't matter. You can generate graphs for anything, and actually write some code. And on the right side, it actually gives you an interactive playground that you can play with. Right? And so then I can ask follow-up questions. So then I ask, great, make it more interactive, please. So it'd say, sure, I'll make it more interactive. Suddenly, it gave you like a place where you can input more function parameters, you can adjust the graph, you can play with it. See how it's all moving? This is not an image, it's an actual interactive working application that you can iterate on. And see how quickly you can be able to do it. So imagine if you're a teacher and you are teaching some complex topic for which you would want to have a visualization. It can be like a bar chart, it can be some logarithmic function that you want to plot. And the traditional way of doing it was actually going and writing the Python code or the JavaScript D3 library or whatever. I remember I had like a great teacher called Sri Kumar sir. He had like really great notes, and I used that for learning my honors exam. And he once told me that he actually wrote the Python code to generate those graphs so that we can easily understand. Now imagine how easy now a teacher's job just became. You have a complex topic, you just actually just explain in natural language, then you get an interactive thing that you can share too. So they have this button called publish here. You press this button, now you have a link that you can share with anyone else. So if I can share with any of my friends or students or whatever, I hit enter, and now they can interact with it too. They get like a full interactive page, they can move around, adjust the parameter, actual working application. And you can build this in seconds or minutes. That's like crazy. Now, let me just open that again. Cool. So now, moving on. What this made me realize is the feeling of independence. In the traditional olden days, it was super hard for people to build software. You have to hire a software engineer or a software developer, and you have to wait till someone good is available, and then you have to pay to them, you have to talk to them, you have to really tell what ideas that you want them to do, and then wait till they complete it. But now within minutes, you're able to achieve all of this. It is giving you a sense of independence. These are like the two tools I want to highlight. If you're interested in trying it out, I would suggest checking out cloud.ai. That's where you see that artifacts thing. You can also try it out, free to use. One more text-based tool that I want to mention is something called Perplexity. This is an interesting tool. This is kind of, you can think of it like an alternative to Google search. In the traditional Google search, if you think about it, if you have a question, you ask, let's say, what is the full form of something, or I don't know, like when is so-and-so happening? The process is, it will give you a bunch of links. You click through each link, and then you read the content, and then you find the answer. In the case of tools like Perplexity, you ask a question, it actually does the searching for you. It searches the question, it goes through the links, it finds the correct answer from those particular links, and it provides you the final answer with references. This just makes your research life so much faster. Really cool tool, especially for students or those who are pursuing research per se. Hold on. So, moving on. Before we go, so far we've covered text-based models. We covered ChatGPT, we've covered Perplexity, and we've covered Claude. The idea is to realize that we might not be using these to the full potential. So I just want everyone to push yourself a little bit further to see, can I do something more by asking ChatGPT an extra question? How do I generate this? Or how do I make slides from Markdown? That extra question can take you so much further into building your ideas. So I'd like to talk about couple of other interesting projects. These are not directly related to text. So there's this program called Suno, sun.com. They have a particular model which is based on audio. So you give in text input, and it actually makes you actual music, right? So you get text input, audio output. So this was very interesting to me. When I was in my ThoughtWorks company, we had a big exhibition where we have a particular booth, and a lot of people were coming in from different parts of the country. So we wanted to build something fun for them. So what we did was we set up a booth where when someone comes, we ask them their name. We ask them to say, can you tell me your name and some interesting fact about you? And so then people will say, my name is Aldrin. I like, let's say, cycling. I am a software engineer or whatever. And then at that point, we'll give a prompt saying, create a hip-hop song about Aldrin who likes cycling but does not like something else or whatever. And then the model was able to actually create an actual hip-hop song respecting the prompt that I gave. And it was so good and so catchy that people were so impressed with it. We also made some more tweaks to say, we added some more nice visualizations, some nice videos to play in the background. We also gave a QR code that people can use to share. And the crazy thing is, this works not just in English, but in other languages too. I'll show you an example. So this is lyrics I manually pasted. This is from the Malayalam movie called Kiridam. It's a famous song called Kannirpu in the Kavil Thalodi. So I pasted in this lyrics, and I gave it the prompt saying, can you create a sad song for this particular song? So let's look at what the model came out with. This entire song is generated by AI. As you listen to this, I need you to pay specific attention to parts of the song. See how the bass notes is ringing? It's incredibly hard to get the bass notes ringing in a consistent fashion across the song. This was something which was impossible a couple of years ago. So the actual AI does not know the original song. All it knows is some lyrics and then the prompt that I give. See how the bass is ringing again? And see how the beat is like following in a consistent loop? See how I'm able to like know through? It understood the pattern, it's repeating it again. This is incredibly hard to do. It was not possible before. If you listen to it a bit more, it would be incredibly hard to tell if this is some original song. If it's a song generated by an actual human versus an AI. If you listen closely to the words, you will still be able to say, that doesn't sound like a normal Malayalam accent. I'll show you like one more example. Oh, by the way, this is made using a tool called Suno.com. If you're interested, check it out. It's free. Check it out. There's one more similar tool called Udio. This is also like popular. Both of these you can try it out for free. You can just create any song with it. English, Malayalam, language doesn't matter. I'll show you. Oh yeah, and if you are someone who's doing a research on this, I would suggest checking out this tool called Bark. It's open source, MIT license, I think, so you can use that for your project. The quality is not as great as Sono. It's something definitely super interesting, which you might want to check out. I'll show you one more example. It's actually a Hindi song, Kishore Kumar song. I'll show you how this one was remixed by the same Sono. चलते चलते मेरे गीत याद रखना कभी अलविदा ना कहना कभी अलविदा ना कहना रोते हंसते बस यूं ही तुम गुनाहते. When I first heard of it, when I first heard of this whole song in full, I kind of started imagining things like, someone reminiscing his past, thinking about past days, moving on. It seems to me like AI-generated songs, they can even invoke raw emotions in a person. This is like crazy if you think about it. Just wait till the solo comes up. Now the system is able to understand that usually sad songs like this, they would have like a melody portion, that it's only instrumental, and the system is able to figure it out, and it's generated. So with these tools, like we can build like songs up to 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Once you have a song, you can extend it to even further. See how the guitar is like so consistent. See how you're not able to like identify any direct tempo transition, any direct mistakes as such. See how it's all like so smooth and flowing. If you're traveling in a car or you listen to this in a party, how easy would it be to actually tell this is not generated by a human? And this whole song was generated in like 30 seconds or so. So it's crazy if you think about it. And we used it in a lot of different ways. We used it to make music videos. Different businesses are using these tools nowadays. I just want everyone to be aware that these things are actually possible. I made this back in May, and now the models have just only gotten so much more better. So the quality would be so much more better nowadays. These are some example things that we made for music videos and stuff. So I'll just end a little more with a few more crazy things that people have been doing with AI. So this is a startup called Blant.ai. So the idea is, the AI actually calls you, and it talks to you in a normal, like, natural, human-like voice. This has been like hugely popular, and people have been criticizing it of replacing customer service employees. But the actual fact that we are living in a time where an AI can call and talk to you without you actually having to program anything, it's like crazy. This is another example, this is a demo which happened last, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago for Huddle Global here in Trivandrum itself. So a couple of these engineers, they built a platform which is used for roasting people. So the idea is, you give in a mobile number, and the AI agent will call you. They'll try to tease you in a way. So I'll play this example.
Speaking with Amshin.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Amshin, the software developer. I've heard so much about you, mainly that you're still single and have a crush on Super Mario.
Like what just happened there was, so a guy given a prompt and saying, I'm a software engineer, I do so and so, and then the AI called his number, and it said, oh, so you're a software engineer, huh? Do you ever get out of your basement? Or it just basically started teasing just for prank call sort of thing. And people, in our midst. This happened 2 weeks ago in Trivandrum in Hurdle Global. So these things are like happening now. It's definitely possible. I'll show you like a couple more other examples, cool different projects that you can do too. So this is a project which I made a while back. The idea is, so imagine you are going to a store to buy some clothes. Let's say you want to buy a dress. Usually what we do is we try to contact someone who's a sales representative. We ask them, hey, can you direct me to section for so-and-so wear? And then you go there, you ask them to take a couple of things, and then you ask questions. You say, do you think that is good for wearing in winter? Do you think that can support water, when water falls, is that okay? And so usually these kind of questions are hard to answer when you go to a store like Amazon. So this is a futuristic idea of a futuristic fashion website. Like imagine you go to a website which is completely empty, like nothing in there at all, and then you actually talk to the website. So you're gonna say,
Hi, I'm Sophie, your fashion assistant. How can I assist you today?
Hello.
so when you go to a website, the AI agent is saying, hi, I'm Sophie, how can I assist you today? So it's just like a sales representative talking to you in an actual store. The AI is talking to you. Imagine that scenario. Then
I'm looking to buy a dress for my friend. It's for a wedding party.
I'm not sure if you were able to hear that, but what happened was the actual human who went to the website says, okay, I want to buy a dress for a wedding party. And then all the interactions at the website is handled by the AI. Just like how a human agent, like a human representative would actually show you like a couple of dresses or so, depending on your specific need, the AI is doing the whole thing. And you can
Here
ask
are
follow-up
some
questions.
suggested fashion items for the wedding party. 1. Women's floral dress. 2. Women's lace wedding dress.
So now the AI specifically is talking about only those particular dress items, depending on whatever the person asked.
3.
And then I'll just fast forward a bit here.
This is a beautiful option for a wedding party. It's available in various sizes and colors, so you can choose the best fit for your friend. What size and color are you looking for?
Actually, let's go back. Let's look at the gown, the sequin gowns as such.
So the idea here is you can then ask specific questions to the AI. So you can just say, is it actually water resistant? How much is the guarantee provider? And then just like a normal person, the AI is able to like answer all of that in a personalized way to you. And these things are not super difficult to build. So remember how we saw the function input over there earlier in the diagram, where you can have like the input and output. So here the input could be actual voice, and then the output could be an action, like a website interaction. It's all related. All that matters is how you write the function inside. So let me go back to, this is a project which me and a friend, Korean, we built for a hackathon by Meta. And so the project was called Index Subtitler. The idea is you take, you know how in certain famous events, when the main speaker is speaking, there will be people who are experts at sign language doing the actual sign language actions for people who are having hearing impairments to understand. So we built this very simple system. The idea is you give in any audio, and then we transcribe it, and then we also translate it in Indic languages. This is no more maintained right now, but for the last 6 months, they were used by a lot of different people. We supported 12 different Indic languages, and this was all made by a particular model called Whisper, which came as part of the Transformers architecture, the same one ChatGPT and all that is based on, which was very good at transcribing and translating languages. So it's not super difficult to do. We were able to build this in a week or so using a lot of AI tools like Cursor, and then specific models like this. We just plug it and play. It's pretty straightforward. So I want to quickly recap. I know we are a bit short on time. So far we have looked at multiple generative AI-based projects. Some of them actually use actual Gen AI-based models. Some of them did not use models at all, but use generative AI-based tools to ensure that you are able to build things at an extremely fast rate. We looked at 3 different people building projects using different tools. We looked at different possibilities of what's possible with audio-based models or artifacts from Claude. And I feel like with this recap, it is now actually possible for everyone to start building your ideas. It doesn't really matter if you're a programming know-how or not. Until last couple of years ago, if you wanted to make a software, you actually had to know proper programming. Nowadays, the requirement is like the bar is extremely low. If you know programming, you can just surely do so much more customization, so much more stuff. But now it's like so much more easier. The three main requirements, what I think that you just need to have to build your ideas, are pretty straightforward. You just need to have a computer with internet connection. You just need to be curious, and you should be exploring the possibilities of generative AI. And the first one is like pretty easy, I suppose. The second one is, like you're here, you're attending this conference, which means you're curious. And you just need to be aware of so much more possibilities of what is possible. I just show like a barely few sample. There are so much more projects people have been doing. If you're really interested, I would suggest checking out Twitter. There are a lot of good researchers out there who put great content on Twitter. You just need to follow the right people, and then you'll be able to see the work that they do, get inspired from them, and then build something on your own. The final, most important step is you should be willing to slightly push yourself a little bit beyond the comfort zone. So imagine the slide example that we just talked about. So most people could just, they could just stop after getting the initial bullet points. They could just stop after getting the markdown structure. If you push yourself a little bit further, then you'll ask questions like, how do I actually make the slide from the markdown? And from there, you can, you know about tools like MARP, and suddenly you're being so much more efficient in your work. There are tools that you can use to improve your skills, but I feel more than tools, what you really need is a little bit of a mindset shift, where now you're more open to possibilities and actually pushing yourself to try out these tools, explore what tools are actually there. So things that I showed, like Suno, the model, I'm not sure how many of you are already familiar, but these things actually came out 1 year ago. These are like pretty old. Even the demo that I showed, I recorded that back in May. It's been like 6 months. There are like even more cool tools available. There are different tools like 11 Labs, which will actually simulate human voices in a very natural sounding manner. You just need to like explore. Just keep your eyes open. Just be willing to explore, and then slightly push yourself to see if you can use that to build some cool things. So as a conclusion, a lot of people, I think I've heard people say, mostly talk about, is AI going to replace a lot of people, or is it going to be a fad? I've seen people say this is just a hype, or it will die down. I mean, sure, whatever. I don't want to comment on that. But what I want to like specifically say is, we now have an opportunity that was not there a couple of years ago. We now can build things at an extremely fast rate, which was not possible years ago. Even in the particular company that I'm part of right now, I've seen this at firsthand. Like we're able to do so much more using AI tools with like very less number of people as well, and we have become like so much more efficient at what we do. So if you look at the history, each time a major shift happened, a lot of new inventions started coming up, a lot of jobs started being creating, a lot of jobs started losing. Yes, definitely that also happened. And right now we are at the cusp. It started at 2022. It's 2024 is about to end. And I feel like we also realize the actual potential. And rather than like completely considering AI as an enemy, I feel like we should fully understand the possibility of what's actually possible, and not just on specific fields like particular science or a particular niche sector, but more about how you can use that in your practical life to make your life so much more easier. The slides example that I just showed, and even the artifacts draft generation, these are just some very few examples. There's so much more things you can do. Like imagine during the times of COVID, imagine if you want to make the website better. You could even do just ask ChatGPT or Cursor, write code to make that better, connect to APIs, whatever. Like there's like so many possibilities. We just like try to use that for creativity, for our own personal efficiency and productivity. So to conclude, now is the best time to build your ideas. And all you need is to slightly adjust your thought process and be willing and open to explore the possibilities of what generative AI technologies and tools can open. I specifically did not want to go into the depth of how the transformer model work or how these whole things work underneath. So I feel we should first really know what is possible out there, and we should make advantage of it. And once you're at that stage, you'll be so much more interested to pursue more and dive deeper as required. Finally, I just want to end by saying, don't do nothing. This is a quote by Gary Tan, CEO of Y Combinator. He's saying, please don't do nothing. Like, don't sit, don't consider it like a fad and then sit idle. Don't sit idle. Do something. Like, explore this further. Use this in your own project. Just at least think about how you can use this to make your life better, because there's like so much more possibilities you can do. there's so much you can do. Like, all you need is just be willing to like explore on this further. So there's so much resource out there. 2022 may not be the best year to start getting into this because there were like good models coming up, but there were like less resources. But now you've got like so much more resources, so much more learned people out there who will explore this and are willing to share information freely. Open source tools out there, catching up so quickly. Please don't do nothing. Actually, get started out there, explore more into this field, talk to people, go to conference like this even more. Don't do nothing. With that, I would like to end. Thanks a lot for everyone. If you have any questions, I'll be taking them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aldrin Jenson, for your insightful and inspiring keynote on turning ideas into reality with generative AI. Your expertise in creating cutting-edge solutions and deploying impactful applications across industries has given us a fresh perspective on the transformative potential of generative AI. We would now like to open the floor for a brief Q&A session. Participants, if you have any questions for Mr. Jenson, please feel free to raise your hand.
Hello, Aldrin Jenson. My question is regarding cheat GPT, because last year the Newsland. My question is regarding cheating GPT. Last year, the New Zealand Prime Minister, her voice was deepfaked, and she lost the election. So, what is the manner in which prompt you hear it?
Is this the one that you're talking about?
Oh,
Is this the one that you're talking about, Cheat GPT?
cheat GPT.
Uh-huh.
Then regarding another aspect, I would like to a clarification from you is about prompt engineering.
Uh-huh.
How engineered prompts be utilized for getting the optimum correct answer.
Yep. Okay.
So please explain on it. What were the prompt engineering dimensions?
Oh, yeah, sure. So at one point in time, there was a specific job offer where people were saying, we need more prompt engineers. So the idea was during early 2022 and late 2021, the models were like pretty primitive. And then you wanted to prompt it in such a way that you get the most optimum answer. So I feel like nowadays the actual need of prompt engineering is so much lesser because models suddenly started getting so much better. At the same time, I can show you like what prompt engineering actually means. So if I go to ChatGPT and then if I ask a question like generate some about AI, and then right now this is like very vague prompt. This is not how you should actually use the LLM model for. I give like a very vague prompt, and then it actually gives something like this. So now let's say I am using ChatGPT to actually create slides for my talk. This is not how I'll be prompting. I'll probably go there, edit it, and say some AI, which I can use for a talk. That is, now we're slightly close, slightly better. This is not good enough either. I would probably say talk, then I'll say for audience from, say, academic, I don't know, whatever, academic background or whatever. So now we are giving more and more information to the AI and saying, this is how I want it to be structured. And so then now we are getting closer. So now I can go even further. I can say the talk is for 1 hour. So now it's been adding more context. And then I can say the talk is for beginners. So now it might not include very technical details, but simplified details. So at each stage, I'm giving it more and more context, but it's being able to like provide so much more better answer to what I want it to. So this is kind of a prompt engineering. There's another aspect of it as well, where you want to respond it in a particular format needed for programming. So let's say if I say this, output in JSON, and then hit enter, now it won't be giving it. So see how it's like completely changed? So now if I'm an engineer and I want to have AI-based summaries generated, I would probably use this. I would use this kind of prompt and say, I want this to be in a specific JSON format that I can then parse through my own system. So I can just write a loop or whatever to say, extract the JSON, and I can just even say, every JSON, this is still not good enough. I can make it even further, and I can say, output in JSON with only 2 columns or whatever. So title and whatever, I don't know, content or something. Now we are getting so much more. So you can do this like so much more depending on the actual use case. So now how you see, you have title, then content, title, content, title, content. So now we are instructing or engineering the prompt in such a way that we get the desired output that we want. And people usually don't use this directly in ChatGPT. You can use this if you want to have like a creative output. Usually engineers use it in code or using their APIs so that you can get a specific output from the model. Yeah.
what is your take on CBSE banned using ChatGPT, and the Australian government last month banned ChatGPT, and even students subscribing to social media, they banned it. What is your take on it?
I feel like this is a personal opinion, might be controversial, I don't know. I feel like what we should encourage people to do is more about the thinking aspect versus the memorization part aspect. So, in this language model, these are not going to be going anywhere. In fact, models are going to get even more better. There are companies like X.AI and Meta actually building gigawatts, 2 gigawatt data centers specifically for training better and better models. So we're soon going to have models which are better and better. I feel like an approach would be to just see how you can use them to make yourselves more efficient versus completely shunning them away and using rote memorization as an alternative. I don't feel that's completely right. I feel like the student should be able to think and instruct better with the model rather than completely avoiding them. Because so I work in a company where we use a lot of AI tools. I have my friends who work in companies where they do not allow AI tools as well. And I've talked to them, and the difference is pretty significant. You can do so much more with AI tools if you use them correctly, if you know how to use them correctly. So rather than completely, I don't know, it's a personal opinion. I feel like it would be great if every student get an opportunity to know what is possible with them. And then once you get into a stage, you would start to prioritize what is the important thing. And then you start prioritizing the more better aspect, like thinking or the critical thinking, or how to even write better prompts. So that's my take on it. Yep. I just want to give a quick shout out, by the way, to three professors. They were super influential in the journey that I was in. So T.T. Jacob sir from Government Model Engineering College. So one of the very first projects that I made while I was in college was a image generation model, and I got a huge support from T.T. Jacob sir. We still have that particular model hosted in MEC servers. So if you go to diffusion.mec.ac.in, you can still see the project that I made when I was in college. It's like you give in a text, and then you get a nice image generated, extremely simple interface. It required a lot of GPU power, and sir was super enthusiastic about hosting it in college servers. It's I was very thankful to Jacob sir and Sri Kumar sir. I got an honors degree in machine learning, all thanks to him. He was our professor, very great sir. He was all pretty great. Binu VP sir, both of them are here. They're great people. Just want to give a shout out and thanks to because of them I'm here. So thank you.
Hi, sir. Sir. So my name is Adil. I am coming from Alpuram. So first of all, that was a wonderful section. Thank you. Thank you for this. So my question is this: what will be the future of AI and other AI tools? What will be your prediction about ChatGPT and other AI tools? It's been more than 4 model has been released to the ChatGPT in the past 2 years. And it has passed more than so many examinations like LLB, MBBS, and other IPS examination within short period of time. So what will be your prediction about the ChatGPT and other AI tools in the future?
It's actually it's not easy to answer right away. A lot of experts in this field are having very mixed opinions. Jan LeCun from Meta, he's the chief scientist at Meta. He says we will never achieve AGI anytime soon. At the same time, Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, he wrote a blog post in October, and he says we will be achieving AGI within 1,000 days, just 3 years. So people are having very mixed opinions, and experts in this field are having mixed opinions. The CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, he said we might not achieve AGI in the near future, but we will pretty much achieve a model which can mimic a real human, which is not too different from actual AGI. So a lot of people are having very different opinions. I personally think the models will get better. Will it come down after a point? I don't know. People are having very mixed opinions. But I still think the models are getting better, and they will get better for a while. And personally, I don't know if it really that much matters that much. All that matters is since the last 2 years, the models are getting better and better. We just need to use them more and more to make ourselves more and more productive. That's my personal thoughts. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for addressing these questions with such thoughtfulness and depth. Your responses have added even more value to your enlightening session. To express our heartfelt gratitude, We would now like to present you with a token of appreciation. I invite Dr. Hari V.S., Principal, College of Engineering, Chenganur, to kindly come forward and present the token of gratitude to Mr. Aldrin Jenson. Once again, thank you, sir, for your invaluable contributions and for inspiring us with your insights. Let's all give him a big round of applause.